everyone. Today I wanted to talk about the term narcissistic abuse. There's a bit of controversy around it because why do we have to call them narcissists, people say. So first of all, let's be really clear, right? Narcissism is a spectrum. And yes, people can get diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder. That is done through the DSM-5. That is the book that we use as mental health professionals and also as physicians to diagnose people supposedly so that we can help them, right? So that we can offer them maybe medication or other types of interventions to support them. So let's go back. I don't really like the DSM-5. I know it's useful and I see its usefulness, but in general, I see that it was created by people in positions of power in society who decided who actually fit criteria and who didn't. So you could imagine people who were marginalized in society, the poor, people of color, women, children, certainly not powerful men and powerful white men were not as readily diagnosed, okay? These diagnoses were created to differentiate and to help society create order. And so that was really about saying who was someone who met society's expectations and who was someone who did not. Again, labels can be helpful. I'm not denying that, right? Knowing what depression is so helpful to us. Understanding the signs of anxiety is so helpful to us. But there were diagnoses that were created that were not helpful, such as homosexuality, which is the most infamous one, right? So NPD, when we say narcissistic abuse, I'm certainly not referring to NPD. I can't diagnose someone who I haven't seen, first of all. And second of all, most people who have narcissistic traits don't come to therapy saying, I want to get help, I want to get better. They're not going to be diagnosed at a high rate. And so for me, it's not about using NPD, it's about helping people in the world understand their experiences. People who are narcissistic abusers want to exert power and control over people. They are coercive controllers. In a perfect world, I call them all coercive controllers, but people aren't familiar with that term. So what do I say? And Dr. Ramani agrees with me. And by the way, if you like this channel, please subscribe. Please leave comments. Let me know how I can improve it. But Dr. Ramani and I met in Dubai, and what we talked about was this idea that narcissism is a spectrum disorder. And there are some people who are lower level narcissists. They just are selfish and grandiose maybe and annoying and really not really the healthiest of relationships are created with these people. But the people who are more intense, as she and I agree, not all narcissists are coercive controllers, but all coercive controllers have the traits of narcissism, the character traits of that. We can just see that lining up, right? The manipulation, the intimidation, the isolation, the need to control others, all of these things, the need to be hell-bent on revenge if somebody in some way violates them, right? Because of the shame, all of that shame that they are holding. So narcissistic abuse works because people are familiar with it, because they see the traits, and because it does help people to feel heard. And more than anything, honestly, the work I'm doing is about helping people know they're not alone. I've been doing this work since I was 19. I didn't know it was happening to me, right? And that's how insidious and nuanced this abuse can be. It can be overt, but physical violence is not the defining characteristic. So I really wanted to point that out to you. That's why and it took me a while to get comfortable saying narcissism and narcissistic abuse. But I do not say NPD because I don't diagnose these people. And again, most of these people don't get diagnosed. That's number one. Number two, I don't agree with any of the assessments that family court uses. Family court uses these assessments to find out if people have disorders. They did this with Amber Heard. It's a bunch of BS, frankly. Most of these assessments were created in the 1950s, maybe updated in the 1970s. I did a Medium article on this, on specifically Amber Heard. I was one of the 10 people on her amicus brief for her appeal because I truly believe that she suffered coercive control and that she had systems, of course, institutional betrayal at play. But here's the deal. These assessments, if you're a narcissist and you're really good at it, you're covert and you're going to pass an assessment. So I don't actually agree that assessments should be used. Of course, we don't use the word narcissism in court. We never use it because it's going to be used against us. However, saying we can assess and find out if someone's a narcissist, I don't think that's accurate. I think that probably happens in a minute amount of cases, maybe with the people who are overtly showing signs of psychopathy, meaning they're willing to break the law, right? And so those people, it's very different. But for most of the people that I work with, who are, by the way, a lot of the worst case scenarios, which Amy Polacco and I just are publishing a book called Framed that actually details family court cases. Most of these people are really good at hiding who they are. They're actually a whole nother layer of insidiousness. So I just wanted to put that out there. I wanted to make sure that everybody understood my perspective. You don't have to agree. It's absolutely fine. Again, not all narcissists are coercive controllers, but all coercive controllers are narcissistic abusers. And that's how I see it. I'm not diagnosing people. I am saying that they are behaving in a way that is so malicious. Their intent is so malicious and harmful that there's no other way to explain it than to look at the traits of these people who have narcissism. It's actually a dark tetrad: narcissism, Machiavellianism, psychopathy, willing to break the law, and sadism, where they are actually enjoying, in some ways, hurting other people, including their children. So I hope that helps. And I hope that you subscribe, and please follow my podcast too, and download my podcast, Perfect Prey. And I hope you have a great day.